Hi everyone and welcome to this new how to play Haywire video. In today's video we'll be looking at the OPFOR phase, the phase where the enemy opponent AI will play following some basic behavior. So here I'm in the turn 1, I just ended up the player phase. Here I have a first team of soldier controlled by me, and there is a second team over there with like a drone operator on the back that just deployed that quadcopter drone. So that's the end of the player phase. We start the OPFOR phase. In this first example, the enemy is not alerted. And when the enemy is not alerted, they will all move following a basic behavior. For every enemy group that has been revealed and that are not alerted, you will need to roll a scatter dice and a d6. The scatter dice will define the direction the enemy group will move. If it's an arrow, the enemy group actually move. If it's an aim icon, the enemy just turn in the direction defined by the dice. And if the group move, the d6 will tell you the distance in inch of their movement. You always activate the group that is the closest to one of your model to the farthest, and you always start by activating the reveal group, and then after that only you will start by activating the threat token, the token that has not been revealed yet. So let's start by the closest group, which is this one. So here I'm going to roll those two dice, and here this group will move 4 inches in this direction. So I'm going to grab my ruler, and they will move 1, 2, 3, 4 inches in this direction. This group doesn't get line of sight on any of my models, so nothing happened. We can jump onto a next group. The next group here is this one there. So this one, same ID. I'm going to roll a die. This one moves 6 inches in that direction. Pretty lucky, they don't start to face me. There we go. This group move there. Now for the last group here, same idea again. You roll those dices. So this group actually doesn't move, they just face this direction. So they just turn and start to face me. So as we can see here, that group of enemy model is facing my direction. If there is no cover, if there is nothing in between an enemy model and a player model, the enemy model will detect our group on an 11+. And here, since there is 2 enemy models and 3 potential targets that can be visible, you need to roll 1 dice for every enemy, for every of your models. So there's a lot of chance for my team to get caught over here. But here in this situation, there is some cover. I am hidden a bit behind that wall. So instead of being an 11+, it's moved to a 15+. In this particular scenario here, because we have a high wall on the right, the one that is the closest to the right here can't be seen by any of those two models. But those two here can still see those two guys here. So here, what I'm going to do is check the detection for the first model. He can see 2 enemies, so I'm going to roll 2 dice. Here I have a 9 and a 14, so it doesn't detect any of those. I'm going to do the same for the second enemy, the guy on the right, that can also see those 2. Same thing here. Oh, here we have a 16. A 16, that means that this model is now alerted, and the alert spread automatically to the group is spawned with. So those 2 models are now alerted. Even though this group has been already activated and they just turn facing my direction, they saw something, they are alerted, they can immediately be activated following their behavior defined on their class card. So here I took out the 2 soldier cards for those 2 enemies. There is 1 soldado, the guy on the left, and there is 1 sicario, the guy on the right. I know the sicario, personally I just gave all my sicario a balaclava, but that's just my way to recognize the difference between those 2. Once a model is alerted, it doesn't spread automatically yet to the rest of the board. Right now, just those 2 models are alerted. And if I take them out before they start to fire their unsuppressed weapon, I might have a chance of not raising the alert on the whole board. But here, for the example, let's say that none of my guys are in Overwatch, and I can't react to the action they are going to take. So let's have a look at their behavior. I'm going to activate first the most simple behavior here, which is the Soldado. So here on the right, you have the behavior of that model when he is alerted. So the first thing is there is a list of questions basically, and some action you need to do based on the answer to the question. So the first question here is there an enemy in line of sight? Yes, there is an enemy in line of sight. Then proceed to step 2. Step 2 is the Soldado in cover. Yes, and the Soldado has 2 action points. So actually here he is not really in the cover, the Soldado is here, he's a bit in the middle of the open. So let's say that no, the Soldado has 2 action points, no, he's not in cover, and he has 2 action points left. He can use 1 action point to move to the closest cover, which keep line of sight on the enemy, and use the second action point to do 1 combat action on the closest target. So here the Soldado just move up to that brick wall, and now he will do a combat action. The combat action, you need to have a look at the stat here. The first one is used when targeting a model in the open with no body armor, that's the easy combat stat. The medium stat, the one in the middle, is used when the target has a body armor or is behind some cover. And the last one is used when the target is behind cover and it has a body armor. So the Soldado here is targeting the closest target from his point of view, so that's this model over here. And this model has a body armor, but no cover. So I'm going to use a 15+. The Soldado is equipped with an assault rifle. An assault rifle is away from 6 inches, so between 0 and 6 inches you roll 2 dice, but between 6 to infinite you roll only 1 dice. So here I'm going to roll a single dice, and here I scored a 2, which is enough to give me 1 suppression point because he's firing once, but not enough to damage, to touch me. Again, I needed a 15+ to be able to hit this guy. So now we are going to activate the Sicario. The Sicario is a bit more dangerous, and you have some pretty nasty thing. First thing is that, same thing here, we look at the behavior, but first, the Sicario has a skill which is called a fragmentation skill. Basically, you have a frag grenade. So here, is there an enemy in line of sight? Yes, proceed to step 2. Is the enemy within 12? So let's check it out. Here, I am not within 12 inches, which is great. So here, no, I am not within 12 inches, so I'm moving to step 3. Is the Sicario in cover? He is not in cover, but he has 2 action points left. Use 1 action point to move to the closest cover, which keep line of sight to this target, and use the second action point to do a combat action. So it's basically the same situation as the first Soldado. So he's going to move closer here, and from his small hole here in the wall, he's going to target at my guy. The Sicario have a better training, and here he can hit me on a 13+. He have the same kind of weapon, an assault rifle, so again only 1 single dice. And here it's an 8. He again missed me, but it gave me a second suppression point. So this is the end of the activation for this group. But now the alert is raised on the whole board. Here, when the alert is raised, all the threat tokens are now alerted, and they will follow a simple behavior. As long as I don't have line of sight on me, they will move 6 inches toward the closest of my model, and then they will enter Overwatch if they don't have line of sight. So the first and closest threat token is this one. So this one here is going to move 6 inches toward me, and that actually bring him over here. And from there, he can see one of my model. As soon as he see one of my model, we can reveal it. To reveal it, I'm going to grab my D20 here, and we are still at the threat level 1 over here. So let's roll a die, and here we have a 12. A 12 means on this threat token we have a Soldado and an Halcon. The Soldado is just again the basic cartel guy. The Halcon is the sniper. That's this guy over here. The halcon doesn't spawn on the board exactly where the threat token is. That's part of his skill. He spawns on the highest elevated position on the board that is not yet occupied. So on this table setup, the highest point of the board is this one. So the sniper will spawn over here. And he's facing the threat token where he should have spawned. So he's facing this direction. From this point of view, let's actually quickly check. So he can't see any of the guy over here, but he can see the drone operator on the back. So he will be able to target him. But first, let's activate this guy. This guy, he moves, but again, since he saw the enemy, he can now be fully activated. He's a soldado, so same thing here. We look at the behavior card. Once you start to play a couple of games, you will start to learn and know the behavior. The soldado, I know that when you have line of sight on an enemy, he will move to closest cover and he will do a basic combat action. I try to keep the rules as simple as possible for the most common enemies. And typically for the cartel, there is always one soldado, at least one soldado that spawns with other enemy archetype. So for the soldado, the behavior is pretty basic. So this guy just moved there. The closest enemy is this one actually, which is in cover. He will target this guy, and to target him, he needs an 18 plus. But because he's within 6 inches and he has an assault rifle, instead of rolling 1 dice, you roll 2 dice. So here, an 11 and a 16. And that's, yeah, no, actually I needed an 18 plus. So that's not enough to touch and to kill to damage that guy, but he still gets 2 suppression points. It's important to mark those suppression points because cartel guys are pretty bad at aiming, but if enough firepower is sent towards my men, they can get suppressed or pinned, and if a model is suppressed, meaning he gets 3 suppression points, he will lose 1 action point for his next activation, and that's very bad for your team. So you need to be really careful about the suppression. So that's it for the soldado. Let's now activate the halcon. So I just took out the card for the halcon, which is basically the sniper. Just give them some names more focused on Latin America. So here, the halcon, I know he spawned on a high post position because it's his skill. He has the high gun skill. For the behavior now, is there an enemy in line of sight? Yes, and the halcon has 2 action points. Use 2 action points to do 2 combat action at the closest target. And we just saw that he only have my drone operator in line of sight, so he can do 2 combat action at the drone operator. The drone operator is in the open, meaning I need a 13 plus to be able to touch him. I'm going to roll those 2 dice. Oh, that's very bad. Oh, that's very bad, because here 2 shots touch him. I rolled 2 dice because this model is equipped with a heavy sniper rifle, and sniper rifle, between 6 and infinite range, you roll 2 dice. So here, it's still my first action with that sniper. And with its first action, he scored 2 dice above the score he needed to do, which was 13 plus, meaning he hit him. But those 2 dice is still 1 action. I only hit that guy only once. It's not because you roll multiple dice that inflict multiple wounds. No, this defines just that the action is successful, and my guy here is now injured. I'm going to mark his injury. So here I just took out my injured token. I'm going to place that next to him. This model is now injured, and for this next activation he is only going to get 1 action point because he have 1 health point. Another thing is that the sniper rifle inflicts 2 suppression points for every dice that you roll. So here we roll 2 dice, 2 multiplied by 2 suppression points, so here he already received 4 suppression points. Here, when you reach 3, you are suppressed, so here, even above 3, I'm still suppressed, and since I'm injured, basically this model won't be able to be activated in the following turn. I could use some of the suppression token I've designed. I just find it more convenient to use a dice because suppression points are always changing during a turn, so it just feels a bit easier to do that for me. But again, the tokens are available if you prefer to use those nice tokens I designed. So this shot was only the first action for the sniper, for the enemy Halcon. I'm going to use the second action point to do another targeting. And here I scored a 14 and a 5. The 14 is again above the 13. That means it's a successful shot. And here my guy is now down. And he's also reached 6 on his suppression, but we don't really care because he's down anyway. So here I will take my down token. When the model is down, he's not immediately killed and dead. I can still revive him if I have another model that can do a first aid interaction on him. That's covered in the previous video. So that's roughly it for the sniper. We are now jumping on the next threat token. And again, same as before, you will activate the closest threat token and you will move them towards the closest of the player model. So let's say that the next closest threat token is this one. This one here will move 6 inches. And since this one doesn't have any line of sight on any of my model, he will just enter Overwatch facing the closest enemy model, which is this one. So he's just going to turn here and enter Overwatch. And that's roughly it for the OPFOR phase. Hope you find that video helpful. Let me know in the comment down below what you think of it. And I will see you soon for the next one. Bye everyone.